Today on The Charge Up, men's and women's basketball suffered setbacks on the road, and we'll preview the 2019 softball season as they prepare for a showdown in Myrtle Beach. It's all coming up on The Charge Up. Hello everyone, welcome to the third season of The Charge Up. I'm James Cassidy, and with me today is Devin Maida, Christy Geronimo, and Ethan Cardona. What's going on, everybody?
It's good to be back.
Can't wait to get started.
Happy to be here.
And I'm excited to get it started. Let's get to the action. Men's basketball suffered a heartbreaking defeat Saturday, losing to Adelphi 83-78 in the final minutes. Guys, what did we see from the Chargers this weekend?
Well, they were playing a great game the entire game. I think it was more so Adelphi was just, they were on fire. They couldn't miss. They were shooting, by the end of the game, they were shooting 62.5% from the three-point range, which is ridiculous. It was like we were watching the Warriors play against our Chargers. So, I mean, we'd like to see the dub, but it's tough when a team is shooting that well.
Yeah, it's pretty evenly contested matchup there against Adelphi. They matched up well with us. They had an advantage with their center because we don't really have the height to match up with centers around the league. But I think overall we played a really good game. We shot 57% from the field, so we were keeping up with them. But they were just shooting out of their mind. So you can't really stop that on the defensive end.
There was a lot to take away from this. You look back to when these two teams faced off at the beginning of the season. You could tell that the guards, they have quick guards, and they also have, they have the ability to shoot from long range. There was a stretch from 12-12 in the second half to about 7 minutes where we just went cold. Our shots were going halfway down and coming out, and then back in transition on the other side, Adelphi was just draining threes, and that's really what cost us is that big 17-2 run flipped the entire game.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, I think that 17-2 run that you kind of mentioned was a very pivotal point in this game because from watching the game, it was just a mixture of things that the Chargers were having issues with. Like you said, shots were going halfway down and coming out, and then just some careless turnovers I think kind of hurt the team too. But what were some players that you guys think really had a breakout game in these these games this week?
We had Quayshawn Lane score a career-high 19 points. He had 4 assists and 1 steal. And he also went 3-3 from the three-point range. He's really stepped up this season. He's been a defensive stopper, and he's really been an overall helper to this offense and defense too.
Definitely, the play of Roy Kane Jr. and Kesley Felizor really stepped up for the Chargers. We need that height advantage to be able to compete with teams, and we're seeing the transition of the 5 to where they need to shoot the 3, and our guys can definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we've talked about in the show before, especially about this men's team, is that they do have the depth. So I'm not worried about one loss. I mean, this was just a close game, and I think if they play them again, they could definitely beat this team, no doubt. So the depth we've said is one that can win you championships, and you name it. You said Quayshawn Lane, Elijah Bailey, who's like the stud of this team, but we got like a few studs on this team. So they have the depth. We'd like to see the size do a little better job there, and otherwise, I think we're going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, on the offensive end, I think last game against Southern Connecticut, all 5 starters were in double figures. Yeah. And Elijah Bailey had his career-high 32 points, and then he reached the 1,000-point career mark against Southern Connecticut. So he's really stepped up this year. He's top 5 in the NA10 in scoring with 20 points per game. So overall, he's been the leader of this offense, but everybody else is contributing also. Unlike last year, where we saw one guy really shooting the ball, no one else really contributed.
Yeah, I think kind of one of the unsung heroes of this team is definitely Derek Rowland. Dero comes, whether he starts or he's off the bench, he can just really revamp the energy on the court. He's able to help run the offense. He can also shoot the 3, not only from right at the line, but from long range, and he can really help us when we need to get back into games.
Yeah, because if Elijah's off his game a little bit, the rest of the team can rely on Dero.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of that is we have so many guards that can come in and step up. If Dero's not playing well or Eli's not playing well, you still have Quay that can come in. You have Ross Jones that can come off the bench.
You name it.
Very true.
Yeah, I like the way that they utilize the starting 5. They don't really use the bench as much. Yeah. So that really gives them the confidence from Coach Hodling that he wants them to succeed and he wants them to do well.
Very true. And let's hope that they continue to succeed. Men's basketball will continue their road trip Tuesday when they take on Pace University. Tip-off is set for 7:30 p.m.
After snapping their 5-game skid on Wednesday, women's basketball had their momentum halted as they lost to Adelphi 62-53 Saturday. Guys, what does this mean? What does this loss mean for the Chargers?
Well, they really struggled shooting in this game. I give credit to Adelphi because they really shut down Alex Kerr in the second half. She had 14 points overall, but she only had 4 points in the second half. And they really did a good job of ball denying her. So, and then nobody else really stepped up. So that was really the downfall of the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah, this was a big loss for our team. They went into it tied with Adelphi for the Southwest Division lead. So this could really come back to haunt them. They were lucky to still be at the top of the division after they've lost 6 of their last 7 games. So they really need to step up now if they have a chance at coming back and being able to host a playoff game.
I think Adelphi just kind of exposed the weakness that we have noticed with the women's basketball team this year is that, honestly, if the teams begin to kind of just double on Alex Kerr, especially when she's driving to the basket, it kind of takes away a major part of this offense. And we don't have the outside shooting from other players on the team that can really open that up for her. So honestly, we got to work on trying to figure out something on offense that doesn't allow teams to just focus in on one player and then halt our entire offense to a grind, because that's kind of what's happened in a couple of these losses for the women's basketball team over their last stretch. And it's really kind of hurting their season overall at this point, where it's important that we need to pick up wins.
I think you got to give credit to Michael Warmack because she's really stepped up at the center position. Against Adelphi, she had 12 points, 7 rebounds, and she's been really consistent over this last, both during the winning streak that they had and the losing streak. So she's really contributed, stepped up, and helped Alex on the offensive end.
Yeah, she was my player to watch last season when we mentioned what players to look forward to on this women's team. So hope she keeps up the good work. They need to do a better job spreading around, like you said before. They need more help with the 3-point game because Kerr can't do it all herself.
Yeah, I think what we need to see is, they really rely on Cameron Dubose to shoot the 3. I think they need to start relying on Brie Pergola as well.
Yep.
She can definitely shoot the 3. It's just, it feels like she's kind of afraid to do it, so she needs to be able to just step up and take the open 3 because she can definitely knock them down.
We talked about the offense, but how about the defense? Because now Coach Debbie Buff has really preached defense throughout the whole year. So what do you guys think the defense has to do to step up?
Honestly, I think the defense has looked good. Even in some of these losses, the defense has still looked good. It's just that we can't match scoring with some teams. But honestly, the defense just needs to work on, I think, the boards. Defensive boards have to be a key for this team, because I've watched a couple of games now for the women's basketball team where teams are just getting offensive boards, getting second or even third attempts at the basket. And when you're struggling to score, it doesn't help to give the other team like 3 attempts in a row to try and get on the board.
Yeah, one thing I noticed during the winning streak, they were top 5 in opponents' field goal percentage, and now they're 8th. So that's been a big difference in allowing opponents to score and stopping them on offense.
We've also noticed that they get fouled a lot, which is nice, but you got to make your free throws. I mean, the free, come on. So they got to, all it takes is keep practicing those free throws and do it, because that'll get you some chunks of points right there if you make those free throws.
Yeah, your 2 best chances to score is at the free throw line and in transition. This team has speed. You've seen the guards, Alex Kerr, Lestalio Ocasio. They can get back in transition and make those layups, but they also need to have other people coming back with them. And if they need to pull out, they need to be able to trust that they can go insides to their centers of OJ and Warmack and be able to knock down those layups.
Yeah, one big thing is also that hurts them is that they're first in personal fouls with 14.5 per game. And I think one player that struggles with this is Cameron DeBose, she's in foul trouble a lot, but that's because she plays harder than everybody else. She's diving for balls, she's trying to play defense, and then when you play harder than everybody else, the refs notice that, and then they call you for the fouls. So she's kind of been in foul trouble a lot, which she hasn't been able to contribute offensively because of that. But I think if they improve on that, I think it will benefit them going in the future.
Women's basketball will look to get back on track Tuesday when they take on Pace. Tip-off is set for 5:30 p.m.
Last season, softball finished with a 25-21 record, going 14-12 in the NE10 conference. They will get the ball rolling again this week when they take a trip down to sunny Myrtle Beach. Guys, what can we expect from the softball team this season?
I think we can expect another solid season. I mean, they still have their star pitcher Megan Butts, who's lights out usually every time, but she needs some help. We need a few other arms in the rotation to take the ease off her, because she was 13-12 last season with a 3.08 ERA. with that ERA, you want to see a better win-loss total. So she needs a little more run support, obviously, as well. It's not just other pitchers and arms getting W's for that team. But I think we expect another great season from these ladies.
Yeah, the coach added 7 freshmen, which adds a lot of depth to the roster, and then she also has 2 freshman pitchers to help Megan Butts out. She added Mia Iodice and Ava Fitzmaurice, so hopefully they can step up and help her out in the rotation.
I'm looking at a big season coming from Sierra Whitlock out in the outfield. Last year, she was around the top 5 in stolen bases for the entire NE10 for pretty much the entire season, and she's always been a solid batter. I think she could have a really great senior season and be a difference maker both in the lineup and out in the outfield.
Yeah, definitely we need the one thing that softball needs is depth in not only outfield but behind the plate. You need to be able to gun down runners. If you can shut people down on the base pads, doesn't matter how many hits you can give up because you can always bounce back and get them out before they score.
Yeah, it's all about the double play balls and stuff like that. And I'd like to see a little more small ball play because, like you said, Sierra Whitlock top 5 in stolen bases, so they should utilize that more. That's how you get run production. If you keep stealing bases, get guys on base, that forces the defense to make plays and usually errors, and you'll take errors because they can result in runs, whether they're earned or not. I still rather get the win.
Yeah, another player to look out for is third baseman Taylor Luzzi. She had a .358 average last year, and she led the team in hits with 57, and NE10 first team all-conference. So look for her to lead this offense again and to be a big contributor in this offense.
Yeah, I think the big thing for this team, going to Myrtle Beach, they're going to play 6 games over the course of 3 days. It's really a good chance for Coach Stark to really see who vibes well with not only in the infield and the outfield, see who can do what. The big thing they need to see is who's going to be their designated hitter this year.
Yep.
Once you know who's going to lock down that position, can be able to get you runs even though they're not going to be out on the field, that's a huge part of the game because they're not producing on the field. So when they come up to bat, they need to be able to bring in run support for the pitchers.
Softball will return to West Haven on March 1st to take on St. Thomas Aquinas in their home opener. First pitch is set for 2 p.m.
Well, that's all we have for this week. To catch live streaming of Charger Sports, visit newhavenchargers.com. And for up-to-date campus news, visit thechargerbulletin.com. I'm James.
I'm Devin.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ethan, and we'll catch you next week on
The Charge Up.
You gotta do it.